What's going on, everyone? So D'Angelo Russell, at least for the first game, we'll see how this progresses, but so far has bought in to coming off the bench, right? Usually, D'Lo gets assigned to a bench, you get the cryptic tweet, or you get the pounded on the bench, or, he's on his phone on the bench. He's not the guy buying into the team philosophy. And to his credit, he did say he was going to change that. He did say he was going to be more professional, more of a team player, and at least through one game, you've seen that. It also opens up and helps the Lakers in two levels now, right? One, now with Cam Reddish into the starting unit, you get some size, you get some athleticism, you get some foot speed out there that can kind of help in on-ball defense as well as rebounding, chasing balls, creating turnovers, right? Just get some athleticism out there, which the Lakers desperately need. And with Austin Reaves in this system, JJ Redick's running everything through Austin Reaves. So D'Lo doesn't get the opportunities that, or isn't as needed as he was, say, like last season where we really needed his playmaking. So unless D'Lo is just shooting the lights out, he kind of becomes redundant. He's the odd man out there because you don't need his playmaking as much, at least in the starting unit. And then he doesn't help rebound. He doesn't defend. He doesn't apply excellent rim pressure on a nightly basis, although he did it in the Philly game, but that's more of an outlier than a regular, right? So it's just, you move Cam Reddish into that starting unit, you solve some of it. Obviously, Cam Reddish isn't like you'd prefer, a Cam Johnson or something like that. But for now, I do think that that's the approach and the right approach. And now the second level is D'Lo comes off the bench, where D'Lo can now be more effective. He's much more needed as a playmaker. Now, when LeBron James and Austin Reaves go to the bench, D'Lo can be D'Lo, have the ball in his hands, wheel and deal, do his thing, and go get you 18 off the bench on a team that only averages 20 a night off the bench. So again, that would be huge. If D'Lo continues to buy in to the Lakers and being that sixth man, one, that helps the Lakers a ton. Two, that could potentially uptick his trade value, right? Because especially if he plays well, or maybe even in the conversation for sixth man of the year, right? Especially with the Lakers voting uptick that you get, I wouldn't be shocked if he won it if he continues to perform like he did last night. But with D'Lo, and if he's willing to accept that bench role, well, now teams start looking at that different. Right now, D'Lo's $18.5 million, and he wants to be the starter. He wants to be the guy. He wants the ball in his hands and operate, right? And teams are looking at it as that's not best for our team. But now, if you're willing to come off the bench, right? Teams aren't going to look at him as $18.5 million worth, but he's expiring. So now he has the expiring contract, and now it's okay, if he's willing to accept a bench role, maybe we could work some out. We could use some playmaking. We could use some shooting. We could use some, offensive generation off of our bench, right? A lot of teams could. So maybe now D'Lo has some trade value. Lakers need a trade, right? They do. They still need another big man. They need a legit two-way wing, 3-and-D wing, or a guard, something like that. They need kind of upgrades. I like Cam Reddish. I think at some point he can be a very valuable rotation guy. I think there's an argument to keep him in the rotation, even if you do go get a 3-and-D wing guy. However, you'd like a legit two-way guy, unless Cam Reddish can just be that. But, he's not getting the volume necessary. And we'll see. We'll see how things progress. But the Lakers need a trade. The Lakers have several things that they just lack on this team. If D'Lo is willing to accept that bench role, and maybe even potentially going forward, now, when you get Christian Wood back, right, now you have that two-man game off the bench. You got two guys that go get you 15-plus on any given night. Again, Christian Wood, I do believe, will be much better utilized under J.J. Redick than he was with Darvin Ham. And also, he's a proven off-the-bench 17-point-a-game guy. But I'm not expecting. If the two of them can give you 25 to 30 collectively, well, now you have your sixth and seventh guy. Now you're not as concerned with the bench. So now you can kind of focus on the starting unit. I'm not saying D'Lo should, if he buys into the bench, that he should be untradeable and yada, yada, yada. No, nothing like that. Obviously, he's our highest tradable asset. I think he'll be worth gold once you get to the trade deadline. Why? Because he's an expiring contract. And with the new CBA, you're going to have a lot of teams. We've had half the league and their GMs and executives say guys are going to start getting traded that never would have been traded because of the new CBA, as you saw with Karl Anthony Towns. But I do think you question trading D'Lo if he buys in and can continue to give you the production. That's the key. If he is inconsistent and just like, whatever, right? Like, or he starts throwing a fuss and he's not what you need, then yes, you got to get rid of him. But if D'Lo really does buy in and he can go get you 15 and 6 off the bench every night, like regularly and consistently, I don't know if you are as quick to move off of him now, right? Because my problem and concern with D'Lo is he's not a bench guy, right? Like, historically speaking, he's a guy that when he goes to the bench, he checks out, right? Like, he's a guy that when he's not starting, he completely checks out. And that's always been my concern. And that's why I'm like, I don't think you can put D'Lo on the bench, because D'Lo isn't willing to buy into that 6-man role. And you need the best version of D'Lo possible until you find a trade. Well, if the best version of D'Lo is a D'Lo bought in off the bench, I think that changes the conversation. Again, if something is available, something is there, I still want like a Zach LaVine and stuff like that. But, if certain things just aren't lining up and they're not making sense, you still have Gabe Vincent and his $11 million. You still have Rui Hachimura and his $17 million. You have Max Christie and his $8 million if you need it. You have Jared Vanderbilt, especially if Cam Reddish can continue to provide what he's providing. Obviously I think Jared Vanderbilt's better, but one guy's making $2.5 million, one guy's making $10 million, and if you can turn him into a legit two-way wing, now things change, right? So now all of a sudden you have 28, 36, 40, 46 million in tradable salary between those guys, and that's not counting adding in a vet minimum or something like that, Jackson Hayes or whatever. So you can get to like 48 million in tradable salary if you need to. So you could still go get a Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton and have like Sexton start, right? Give you some athleticism, give you some similar production as D'Lo. And now you got D'Lo who can come in off the bench with a Walker Kessler and a Christian Wood. And then, a Dalton Connect and a Cam Reddish. Sounds pretty good to me, right? Now, I think that sounds like a pretty good, like if you're talking D'Lo, say D'Lo Connect, Reddish, right? Wood and Kessler as your 5 off the bench, that's great. You have 3 guys that go get you double-digit scoring every night, easy. And you have a guy in Dalton Connect that can, even though he's a rookie on any given night, go get you double-digit scoring. Right, and then Cam Reddish for those assignments and that point of attack and being that defense guy. I just think that now I think you have a better upgrade. Again, I'm not saying if the deal isn't there, I'm not saying like, D'Lo's now untouchable, right? Like, it's nothing like that. It's not like, no, that now we can never trade D'Lo. No, right? Also, there's the concern that D'Lo leaves, right? Especially if he's coming off the bench. So you want the commitment. Like, if I'm Rob, right, and D'Lo continues to perform well and he comes off the bench, I'd be like, hey, like, if you're willing to play this role and be this guy, I'm not going to say I'm not going to trade you, because, again, obviously, who knows what develops, who knows what comes up, but I will strongly consider keeping you and keeping you long term, because you need the bench production, you need the bench scoring, and D'Lo is a guy that we know when he gets going, he's up there with the best of them, and if he's willing to come off the bench and provide that, well, then now he becomes so much more valuable. So again, now maybe you're looking to move other guys, because now, like, again, let's say you do, because like I said, it's 40, let's call it 48 million, right? But you have to be able to fill out a roster. So say you do Kessler and Colin Sexton, right? So that gives you, let's call it 22 million, right? So now you got basically, let's call it another 20 to 24. Let's call it 20 million, because you got to save money to clear other guys. And I know got to like 48 million, but having that extra like 6 million could be the difference between you filling out a roster or not, right? So if you do something like that, and then now you have like another 20 million, right? Well, now you can look to get a Kyle Kuzma or something like that. Like, what if you have like a Sexton, Reeves, Kuz, LeBron, AD with a D'Lo, Connect, Reddish, Wood, and Kessler, right? And then you got to fill in the roster. So you bring in like a Quincy, you bring in like a Armeltre or Christian Coloco, right? Like bring in those guys to kind of get you to 14, but now you're good. Now you're in good shape. Right now you're legit 10 deep, in my opinion. Right? And I think you're just better positioned. And now you have athleticism in Colin Sexton, got Kyle Kuzma that can be a legit 3-and-D guy. Obviously, he's not the most efficient, but you take what you can get. And also, his contract goes down every season. And then D'Lo's going to need a new contract. You're not giving him $18.5 million a year. So, can you get him for, say, 12, right? On like a Reeves type contract because he's kind of the sixth man off the bench. Again, I think it's at least worth the discussion. I think you at least consider it. Again, if he continues to play the way he has shown off the bench, right? If 3 games in, he's like, all right, I'm tired of coming off the bench. I'm fed up. I'm sick of this. Then again, that changes things. And it's like, yeah, we need to get this guy off our team. But if he's willing to kind of accept the role, I do think you at least consider it. But as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you think like, yes, you got to consider keeping D'Lo if he can continue to perform to this level? Do you think, no, you got to trade D'Lo either way? It doesn't matter whether he gives you 18 and 6 off the bench, not good enough. You got to trade him. Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.